This is devotional number 250, and today's date is May 26th, 2017. We have been looking this week at Exodus 20, and we're down to verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Jehovah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. In looking at Exodus 20, verse 5, I was reminded of how parallel it is to Revelation 14, 6 through 7. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. This should not come as a surprise to us, because God wrote the entire Bible from beginning to end, and he is extremely jealous of all of his divine attributes, as we see from a passage like Exodus 34:14. For thou shalt worship no other God, for Jehovah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Deuteronomy 13:4 also states, Ye shall walk after Jehovah your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice. And ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. And Psalm 2:11 further instructs, Serve Jehovah with fear and rejoice with trembling. In our first lesson on Exodus 20, verse 1, we learned that God used three different Hebrew words to denote the English words for God, plural, Elohim, spake, which is Debar, and saying, or Amar. A similar usage of three words is also found in verse 5. I, Jehovah thy God, am a jealous God. The word for Jehovah is the Hebrew word, Jehovah 3068, which is a commonly rendered in the King James or Authorized Version as Lord in all capital letters. The first word for God is the word Elohim, or the plural word, which is Strong's number 430. And the second occurrence is the singular word El, Strong's number 410. It appears that God is pinpointing his own divine nature, so that in one sentence he would use three different Hebrew words to refer to the Godhead. Paul, writing under divine inspiration in Acts 17:24-31, makes this declaration to the inhabitants of Athens and to all of us today as well. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything. Seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him, and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Forasmuch then as we are the offspring of God, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold, or silver, or stone graven by art and man's device. And the times of this ignorance God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent, because he hath appointed a day in the which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, in that he hath raised him from the dead. One of the chief characteristics of God is his perfect justice. This means that he is an altogether holy and righteous judge. As I just quoted in Acts 17:31, because he hath appointed a day in the which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man, Jesus Christ, whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, in that he hath raised him from the dead. If you've been listening to these devotionals for a while, you have heard me quote 2 Corinthians 5:21. For he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. If God the Father would go to the extent of punishing God the Son with death and annihilation, then why would unsaved human beings foolishly imagine that they could escape God's justice? They cannot and will not escape, though they might try to do so, as Amos 9:1-4 warns. I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell or the grave, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. And I will set mine eyes upon them for evil and not for good.